Hello, welcome back to the live Rally Game podcast. My name is Steven. I'm here today with more Surviving Reelfoot unfinished business
Yes.
discussion. And we have with us one of my favorite confessionalists of the season, so I'm super excited.
Thank you.
Adam, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing? First off, before we get started, happy belated birthday.
Thank you so much.
And you've been doing a great job on here. So, yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I've officially hit the tipping point. I am now over. I've covered over half the cast now. I don't think I'm gonna do the full 21, but I'm pretty content if I get a couple more, and I'll be like, okay, I've done my good.
That's a lot, I'm sure. It's a lot of talking.
Yeah, so I feel after 20 to 30 hours of hearing people's stories, I should have a good understanding of what happens this season.
Yeah,
For all the listeners, hopefully you understand it all too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so you've played Reelfoot back in 2019 on Calipin's Revenge. How did you find out about Reelfoot? What got you involved in live reality games?
Oh my gosh! So Amos, my parents they breed Weimaraners, so they have these dogs and they breed them, and Amos bought one from them. And he kind of kept up with us on social media. Mm-hmm. And he knew that I watched Survivor and Big Brother and, those kinds of shows. I got into that with my grandfather that was sick. We watched them together, but that's another story. But anyways, he knew I watched those. And I think I was kind of like a semi last minute addition in a way. I'm not fully sure. I do know I was not the first group or the first middle group to be selected for that first season I did. So I kind of just went in guns a-blazing.
and so what were you expecting, or what were you like thinking that would be like?
I had no idea. It was a very hectic time for me. That all of 2019 kind of was. I started my company that year. I moved back to my hometown, and it was just a lot going on. So I just went in, just literally, like I said, guns a-blazing, and it poured the rain, and it did everything I didn't want it to do, but it did it.
And so you end up, I think, technically you're the third one now. Shiley gets voted out, comes back in, and so you're the fourth tribal council,
right? And then Slade leaves in the middle of the night, and then I go home. Because I played too hard and I was yelling at people, I think. So,
so what was your takeaway from that experience?
My takeaway was that, honestly, without it, besides it being a unique experience, I learned a lot about humans. Through that experience, I learned that the human body is tougher than I realized. You can sit in the mud and in the rain and handle more things. So I took away that humans are stronger than I thought, and people are smarter than I thought. So those are two things I took away, and I knew that going into this past season here.
Did your experience change how you watch or understand the Survivor TV show?
Yes, it did. It did, because I understand the people that are just calm and mellow and just watch how things go, and I understand the people that become friends with a lot of people, and it really has brought a broader understanding for that and for the world that I work in. I work in the acting modeling world. I'm a talent agent. I own my own talent agency, and it's how I interact with people on set now has changed a little bit. So it's kind of brought a perspective to worldly views and TV views.
And so between Reelfoot in 2019 and Reelfoot Unfinished Business, had you played any other games?
No, I haven't done anything. This is the second time I've ever done anything. Okay. So I haven't done anything, and I didn't really plan on doing anything, and I haven't really auditioned for anything. I did get an offer to be on Naked and Afraid, and I turned it down.
Wow.
Offer, yes, I did get that offer, and I turned it down. Because being at the agency, I represent children, and I don't want parents to bring their children to the agency, and they're like, "Oh, here's your naked agent that on TV in the woods." So outside of these two games, I got that offer, and I haven't done anything else or really planned to do anything else.
So you get the call for an all-star season.
Yes.
And do you hem and haw about it? Do you have to think about it, or is it an immediate yes?
It was an immediate yes. I just was like, sure, because I'm just like, I thought for me it would really be a break away from my daily life that's chaotic, and just be able to take a breather in the woods and try the game again and see what more I can learn and see how much more I can challenge my body. I'm always down to challenge myself mentally and physically with anything in life. I've always been that way. So I'm like, okay, let's do another challenge.
Did you do anything to prepare for it, for the game?
I worked out a little bit and I did a ton of hiking, Fortunately for me, I'm up on a mountain. I live on a mountain. I have like no neighbors. There's a ton of acreage. So I'm always in the woods. And every time I go in the woods, I'm like, I wonder if I was to hide an idol, where would it be? And I would just, practice that kind of. Didn't find any in the game. And I didn't really try that much. So, but yeah, so that's pretty much all I did. Work out a little bit and do a lot of hiking.
I forget who found Brent found the idol in your tribe, right?
He did. And I was working with him, and he didn't tell me, but that's okay. He didn't, and I'm glad he found it because I was able to get him to use it. So that was good. We had, one of the things I remember is, we were on this losers tribe, and I'm trying to figure out a name, and my strategy was to always be at the bottom of yellow. More people are more inclined to work with people who are at the bottom of things than they are for people at the top. But a lot of the times I was at the top of yellow, and a lot of people didn't realize that because I was always like, I'm at the bottom. And so I made sure I was at the bottom, and I made sure that if it was between me and Brent, they knew that I was at the bottom and he was at the top. And by doing so,
you got through that tribal council.
He got booted, but I did get him to play his idol one time because I found out it was his name.
So was there anyone you wanted to see in this season, or you were worried about seeing in this season before the cast list was revealed?
Not necessarily, because to be honest with you, I knew the less amount of people outside of Corey from season 1. I knew the less amount of people. A lot of people knew each other. A lot of people were excited to work with each other. And I just came in not really knowing anyone hardly. I knew of some people. I may have been Facebook friends with some people, but that doesn't mean I knew them real well and wanted to play with them.
Yeah.
So I knew the less amount of people going in. So
the cast
will say, sorry to interrupt. I will say Peggy. If Peggy from my season, she made it to final 3. If she was in this season, I would have been excited. I would say that name. Yeah.
So when the cast list was released, and you see there's actually a good contingent of players from Callipin's Revenge, but for the most part, we mentioned this a little before the podcast, the only player you'd ever been on a tribe with was Nate.
Yes, correct. And he got booted pretty early, and he was on the blue tribe, right?
Yep.
So that was it.
Was anyone else stand out to you when you're looking at that cast list?
Brent stood out to me. Tony stood out to me because I knew of them. They were from my season. Amber stood out to me. Reynolds stood out to me. Of course, I didn't really play with every single one of them, but those names stood out to me.
So you arrive at the game and you learn that the opening twist, I guess. Let's first talk about the name. You learn the season name is Surviving Reelfoot Unfinished Business.
Yeah.
What do you feel like your unfinished business was coming into the game?
My unfinished business was literally getting people to know who I am and just playing better. I mean, that first game, I had enough time to pee in the woods, get rained on, and then I left, to get people to know me and to just figure out a different strategy for myself, because I was in a better mental state this season.
What kind of strategies were you thinking of coming in and playing?
Well, so I knew out of the gate I didn't hardly know anybody, so I knew I had to be friendly. And unfortunately, I was a little bit too over-friendly, but, whatever. That's, in my line of work, not to talk about it again, but, I represent 300 talent, 300 people. I'm on sets all the time, commercials, TV shows, movies, all these things. When I show up on set, I'm expected, and this is a production. This is a production show, and I'm mentally like, I'm in a production. So I show up on set, right? Every morning, wake up, I'm on set. And I'm like, hello, cameraman. Hello, everybody. Hello, this, hello, that. And it was that's kind of my downfall. But it also helped me because I made a lot of connections in the game. So I knew that I needed to talk to people, be friendly. That was the first plan in my head. And the second plan was, I'm looking at my buff and it says unfinished business. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to turn this into a business. This is going to be my company. This is going to be my business. And this is what I want in my business. I didn't know who these people were going to be at the time, but this is what I want in my business. I always need an accountant. My accountant's going to tell me the numbers. They're going to tell me who's voting with who, how the numbers are going to look, how can we flip votes, that kind of person, right? And then I need security. So my security guard is the big, the tough person that would go out before I go out, okay? Didn't know who that was at the time, but that's what I knew I needed. And I also needed a manager. My manager was managing everything that I kind of told them we should do. They would help me get it done. So if I wanted to do something, my manager would get with the group and make sure we voted the way I wanted to vote, or, whatever it may be. That's what my manager would do. So, and I eventually ended up finding those 3 people in my own tribe. So that worked out.
The other opening twist to learn about is the shot in the dark twist from the CBS Survivor. Did you have any thoughts about that coming into the game?
I didn't. I was just like, the odds of someone getting that is slim to none. So good luck. That's all I thought. Good luck with that. The odds of that are slim to none. That's all I thought in my head.
So you start on the yellow tribe, the Galelo tribe.
Yes.
I'd love to kind of talk and hear your thoughts and your impressions of people. I mean, one of the people you did know coming this game was Corey. How did you know him, and what was it like being on a tribe with him?
So Corey was hilarious. Probably one of the funniest guys I have ever met in my life. I didn't really know. I knew he would be totally loyal and honest to me, and I honestly thought he could just float through to the end of the game. I really did, and I thought that could be utilized. I'll try not to cuss on here because but anyways, he had a trash bag. He wasn't prepared for the show. He didn't have a poncho. He had a trash bag he got from his hotel, and it was a big, oversized black trash bag. And he would get in that trash bag. It's what he called it, trash bag. He would get in it every night. And in the morning, he was the last person to get out. And he'd come crawling out of that trash bag, and he'd be like, "Oh, effing trash bag. Oh, I hate mornings." Like every day he would do that. And it was funny. It was funny. I enjoyed that. The tribe as a whole, I'm looking around and I'm like, okay, we've got some good people. We've got some good runners. We've got some good physical people, and we've got some good mental people. And I had no doubt that we were not like, I just knew we were going to win everything. I just knew by looking at us. So we've got this in the bag.
Did you feel better about this starting tribe than your original Noonie tribe back in?
For sure. My original one, I remember looking around and thinking, okay, can we even make rice? Like, can we even break sticks in half? Like, I just wasn't really sure about it. So this one made me feel much better.
Talk to me about Brent. You both played in the same season in Caliban's Revenge. Did you have a chance to get to know him at all in that game?
No. After the game, we became Facebook friends, and I liked seeing him live in Colorado and all that good stuff. But he became my brother in this game. He's going to be my brother for forever and a day. So get ready, Brent. If I die, you're going to be carrying my casket.
You also have Skylar in your tribe.
Yes. Didn't know how to read her at first because I knew a lot of people knew her, a lot of people, and that was kind of scary. So people that worked in production world was always like made me nervous. And I knew that a lot of people knew Skylar and wanted to work with her, and I didn't know how to read her at first. And then she ended up becoming my walking buddy. We would walk in the woods every single day for like, if I was to guess, 30, 40 minutes and just talk about random crap and laugh. And then we'd go back to camp and sit down. So she became, we got really close too. I wish we worked better in the game. I wish that our ideas lined up better, but they did.
Talk to me about Carly.
Carly, oh my gosh. Carly was my accountant. And Brent was my manager. Okay? And then we'll talk about, who my security was. So Carly and I ended up just hitting it off pretty well. And I wish our ideas lined up for the entirety of the game, but they didn't. But she was my accountant. She would help me with numbers, and she would tell me, she would give me an idea. Sometimes if I would ask like who she thought was working with who. And if we weren't going to tribal, which we never really did, she would have really good guesses on who would go home and why. So she was my accountant.
What about Todd?
Todd was my security guard. Let me tell you about Todd. When I will say this, when I first saw the cast list, I saw him and I said, that is a big dude. I said, he's kind of, I'm scared. But we ended up just hitting it right off the bat. I'm a Christian. He's a Christian. He prayed over me before the game started. And after he did that, we were brothers, but we told each other, let's hardly talk,
Hmm.
but we'll always link up, when we're about to vote. And so he and I hit it off right out of the bat. And final two with him was totally my plan.
And then last in the tribe, you also have Megan.
Megan, yes. Didn't know how to read her, didn't really talk much, and I talk a lot. And I know that Parker stated that we were the most unlikely friendship, Megan and I, at the end of the season. And it's so true, but we are friends. We're friends. I love Megan. We became friends, and I didn't expect to become friends like we did, but we're friends. And she didn't know how to read me at first. I knew that she was closer to Brent than I, but after Brent was gone, it was me and her. She became my manager after Brent got fired.
So you open up with a reward challenge, and this is a reward challenge where it ends up with a word unscramble. And all I can really remember about this challenge is that you all get disqualified.
Oh my God. Wasn't that just fun? Yeah, right out of the gate. And I also got elbowed in the chest during that. And it was an accident, I'm sure. We'll assume, because Bash is a great guy. He accidentally elbowed me. He came around the back of the hay while I was going through the hay, and we kind of hit each other. But anyways, it was chaotic. So yeah, we had to run behind the hay. And my memory's better than I thought. I'm doing pretty good today. Maybe it's the 5 o'clock somewhere that's helping me. So we have to run around behind this hay, and we're supposed to grab one and only one little note or something. I don't know if it was a letter or a word on it. I guess it was a word. And then we had to run back and then set it on our mat. And Todd accidentally grabbed more than one. So we got disqualified. Whoops. And that morale kind of went down after that, but then we got it back up.
Yeah, so after that, you head to your new campsite. And so what was that first afternoon, evening like for the Galileo tribe?
Yeah, so we actually listened to each other really well, which I was excited for. You never want that person to be like, okay, you're doing this task, you're doing that task, you're doing this task. And, we had just been told that there's snakes and all this stuff. And by God, we found them. I found the first one, I think. I found the first snake of the season. So I decide, to do fire. I get a good stack together. I'm pulling logs from the woods, stuff's collapsing. I'm looking around and immediately see who's talking to each other and how that's going to go. And I noticed Brent and Megan kind of just hit it off. And, Todd and I are like looking at each other like, we're on the same tribe. And then Carly, I liked her. And so it was good morale. And so I get the firewood together, and then Megan lit it, and then we had a fire, and then morale was great. So yeah, it was good. It was like being with Hufflepuffs, if you want to use it in the Harry Potter world. So yeah, it was nice.
Yeah. Does anything of note really happen that first day, or is it mostly kind of you slowly getting to know the people in your tribe?
Just slowly getting to know them, and we listened to each other, and we had a pretty good camp.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I think communication is one of the biggest underrated tribe skills to have, and that probably made a difference in the challenges for y'all.
We had the best communication out of any tribe I think that has ever played this game. And it just really went well for us. That's how we won stuff. It didn't come down to our physical abilities. It came down to how we were communicating. Like if you go back and rewatch everyone playing different challenges, our tribe is calmer. We're talking to each other. We give each other ideas, and you can hear the other tribes yelling over each other. Everyone has big ideas. They're screaming over each other, not us. We were much more calmer and listened, and that worked in the end.
How was that first night in the woods?
Oh God, I forgot how it hurt. I'm used to my bed. I'm used to my stuff. I even have a lot of padding in my office chair work. So like I'm spoiled, right? And so I'm laying on the ground and I'm like, oh gosh, here we go. We're going to do it. My hips hurt. It was okay. But, and I don't really think I slept hardly any, probably 30, 40 minutes. So, but yeah, it was okay. I mean, it could always be worse. It could have rained.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just remember watching your original season and going like, oh my gosh, it just doesn't stop.
It was intense. It was really, really intense. It was and we were in a mud pit. So my first season, I remember saying this, and nobody listened to me because I mean, what do I know? We were at the. It's not like I live in East Tennessee in the woods. We had at our camp there was these. We were at the bottom of these hills, these slopes, right?
Yeah.
The very bottom, and we were like, that's the place. We're going to go right there at the very bottom of all those hills, and that is where we're going to be. And I was like, okay, well, the rain's going to wash down, and we're going to wake up in mud, and we're going to start sinking in mud. But I don't know anything. And so I remember Jeff and Nate, they got a big old log, and they brought it over, and I kind of propped my head up on it, and that's where I slept. But when we were building camp, as soon as we were like walking into camp to build our camp, it started raining.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew right then we were just screwed. And I was correct. We woke up in mud, and not just any mud. My blanket was missing. The blanket I brought was gone. It was in the mud. I was like, "Where's my blanket?" And we woke up in mud. And every single time it rained, it would just wash down those hills and go right where we were sleeping.
So I think the merge site for my season was the Nudie camp, but we built the merge at the top of the hill.
Okay, yeah.
Like right at the entrance is where like we'll just set up right here.
That's so smart. I don't know why we didn't do that. If it was up to me, we'd be living in the trees, really. So some hammock of some sort. No, we did what we could do. And I really do think at the time, all of us was like, well, let's just get it done because it's raining, and that's where we built it. So I don't put any blame on anybody. We just was like, let's get it done. Let's get it over with. And that's where we ended up.
So this campsite, much better.
Much better. Absolutely much better. Even though I do believe Megan was like, if it rains real hard, it's going to suck here. It's going to suck here. But it was much better. I told the tribe to make sure when we put the tarp up, we do it at an angle. So when it rains, it washes down. They listened to me. Great communication again. And we had a good camp. We didn't have a bench and a hammock and all this stuff that Blue Tribe had.
You didn't have Frank, which is the problem.
We didn't have Frank, and I would have loved to have Frank, but we didn't have Frank. We just had each other and, the sun, the moon, the earth.
So the next day you have your second reward challenge, and this is the memory match challenge. How was the challenge for you?
I'm bad at memory. So I'm bad at memory in general. So what did this challenge involve?
This is where you're flipping tiles and trying to match pairs of tiles, and players get sent to different tribe camps during the challenge.
This is what screwed me all to hell because I wanted to play more calmer. Mm-hmm. This if I didn't have to play that, it would have been so much better for me. So Parker says, hey, under a few of these, he says a few of these, there's a note. You have to read it out loud and immediately make a decision. And I'm like, whoever gets those notes, it's going to suck for them. It's going to suck for them. Well, I by God, go out there, flip one, and it's a note immediately for me. And it says I have to pick someone from one tribe to go to my tribe. So I'm looking around, and I'm like, okay, this, why don't we get information from a tribe that I think will give us information? And I look over at the red tribe and I see Tony. And I know Tony and Brent are probably closer than, most people just right out of the gate, and will give us information, and Brent can tell me the information. So I'm like, Tony, come to our camp. Great. And I'm like, well, that sucked. So now I'm walking around, I'm flipping my second tile. Well, by God, I flip another note, and it says I have to decide to go to someone else's camp. So I'm like, okay, if we're getting information on red, I'll go get information on blue. Mm-hmm. So I decided to go to the blue camp because, honestly, they kind of were scary. We all knew that they were the mentally mm-hmm. They were the most invested in this game, the blue tribe. I mean, you could just tell, like, these people were ready, villains, if you will. I just sensed it. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try to go over there and get information on them. So that's how that game went. And then we won. And then Brent was sent back to our camp because one of the tribes, I don't remember which one, made the decision because they thought he would be the smartest. So he went back to our camp. And I can't remember who went back. Somebody else went back to their camp. I can't remember who. But Brent goes back, and then he finds the idol at our camp.
So how was your experience then at the blue camp?
Okay, so I go in, and they're kind of like, how's it going? And I was just kind of like, we're don't really talk much. We're kind of
Mhm.
more calmer. We kind of sleep apart from each other, whatever. And they're like, oh, that sucks. And Frank gives me toilet paper because he feels bad for the group. He's like, hey, do you need toilet paper? And, that's kind of how the ending of that went. But here's how
Mhm.
the first part of that went. It was kind of like me walking in. Josh and Austin are like poking a stick in the fire. And then Frank says, try out the hammock I made. I lay in the hammock, and then everybody else just leaves.
I have something I want to show you.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second. Share screen. Window. Yes. Is this the photo?
This is the one. This is the one. And the video's even better because I'm like, come here. And the camera comes to me and I'm like, I'm laying in a hammock, but everybody's walking around looking for idols. And you could hear them in the background crunching leaves, walking around the woods. And I'm told that the women are using the bathroom. And then I'm told and let's face it, the bathrooms in our woods, they don't have mirrors and anything. So it's not like they're getting ready in the bathroom. They're probably looking for something. It's what's going on in my mind. And so the only person kind of still there, because Austin eventually leaves, is Josh. And he's still there and he's poking a stick in the fire. And I'm like, okay, I think I want to work with Josh at some point. So that right there is when I made a decision that Josh and I was going to eventually work together. But yeah, I'm laying here and people are looking for idols, like openly and blatantly in front of me. They do not care, which was so interesting to me because they knew I was going to go back and tell my tribe. Surely they did.
Mm-hmm.
But then after that, everybody came in. We had a kumbaya. We sat together. We chatted. I commented them on their camp and told them more about how my camp just wasn't working for me and that I was at the bottom of yellow. I'm like, I'm at the bottom of yellow. I don't know how it's going to go for me. And I think a lot of them felt genuinely bad for me. That eventually changed at one challenge when two people from blue practically got on yellow's map. And that was the crate challenge. But we'll talk about that when we get to it. But yep, that's me laying on a fancy hammock in the woods.
So what was it like going back to your camp and kind of hearing what happened with Brent and then hearing what happened for Tony and telling your story?
Oh my God, I felt like I walked into my office during tax season. Everyone was ready for me. They were ready for me. They were getting their paperwork. They were excited. They were, and so they're all kind of sitting around ready for it. They're like, listening. And I said, right out of the gate, guys, you got to listen to this. I laid in a hammock and everybody was searching for an idol. And they were like, oh my gosh. And I said, yeah. And I don't really know if everyone's on the same page over there, but it seems like a lot of big heads. I think that's what I said or something like that. And then I also told them, I was upfront with them. I said, hey, Yellow, by the way, I lied about how our camp is because I just wanted to and didn't want them to know much about us. And I said that we're dysfunctional and don't really communicate. So I told them right out of the gate, this is what I told Blue. So.
Well, and so do you feel that there's any repercussions from this experience that echoes throughout the game for you?
Yes, because when we're doing the crate challenge, I mean, I thought everything was fine and dandy, but when we were doing the crate challenge with our feet up on the crates, I don't remember when that was.
That's the next reward challenge. Yep.
Okay, the next reward challenge. So two people from Blue, two ladies, end up on my mat practically. They're practically on the Yellow's mat. I'm sitting there with Todd and about 4 or 5 feet away from me. They're on the mat talking to Skylar and Carly, I think.
Yeah, so it must be Amber, May, Skylar, Carly.
That's who it is. And they pretty much tell them what I said. And then Skylar goes back and it's like, yada, 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 yada. And then they didn't believe what I said about Yellow, which is totally fine. I could care less. So we get back to camp and then Kyler starts trying to put distrust in people about me for a little bit. And I called her out. I mean, I talked to her on the side and I'm like, hey, I don't know what you all talked about. And I was talking to other people too. I was like, I don't know what's going on, but they were on our mat talking crap and everyone was for me. So it was in my favor on Yellow. They were for me. But I had a little bit of beef with Skylar then. And if Yellow had gone to tribal, we would have voted her out because I was pissed.
So could you rank the players in your tribe from most important to least important to your game at this point?
So most important to me is my manager, Brent. Second important is Todd, my security. Third important is Carly. And then we've got Megan there. So we've got Megan in that mix.
That just leaves Corey and Skylar.
Yeah. And then probably Corey and Skylar at this point is how I felt.
Did it feel like it would have been pretty unanimous to target Skylar had you all gone to tribal council?
Yeah, it would have been. It would have been, and she would have probably rallied to get Corey out, and
Mhm.
we probably could have done that too. But I just knew Corey was going to float through the game. I just had this feeling he was going to float through the game and
Mhm.
be able to be utilized by us. So it probably would have been her because I was mad.
And so was kind of the plan to vote Skylar out come together like after the reward challenges, or was it kind of more evolving as you keep winning the immunity challenges?
Keep winning the immunity challenges and
Mhm.
different people get closer to each other. And I kept being told, Skylar, when she gets with May and she gets with some of the other people, they're going to really work together and they're going to take off. So that always kind of made me nervous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you have your first immunity challenge that night, and this is kind of a multi-part challenge. That starts off with swimming, to retrieve some balls. There's throwing the balls in the buckets. There's a snake puzzle at the very end. Where are you in this challenge?
So I am getting the ball from the swimmers and running it to the people,
Mhm.
and I can run. That's one of there's several things I can do in life: run and talk. So, I'm the runner. I grab the ball and I run fast, like Forrest Gump times 10. I get that ball there, and then I go back to get another ball, and I never even needed another ball because it was chaotic.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, I was the runner in that challenge.
And your tribe ends up winning pretty handily.
Yeah, because Brent is like Michael Phelps in the water. I mean, if you go back and watch that, the dude was like there within a split second, it seemed. I mean, he swam out there and got it, and he gets back and he's not winded. So I don't know. I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he did it.
Yeah, I think I can see why Britt was being targeted by other players.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And he's very smart.
Mm-hmm.
He's very smart too.
You win that mini challenge. How's the second evening and second night for you?
It's great. We had a little bit extra rice. We talked about how if we keep our communication up and work hard,
Mm-hmm.
we'll be able to continue winning, and then we go to bed. That's essentially how that was.
I guess one of my questions is how important are idols and advantages to you? Are they something that you want and care a lot about, or are they something you just like? They're not really a focus in your game.
They would be a bigger focus to me if I was at the bottom and I felt like I was at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
They would be a bigger focus to me. Without that, and having them, it's kind of a curse because when you have it, everybody's like, oh crap, that's caca. He's got an idol. We need to do something about it. So I think of them more as a curse than not.
So how actively were you searching for the idol at your camp?
Not really.
Mm-hmm.
There was a couple days I walked around and I was like, it's probably at the bottom of that, but everyone's around us today and I don't really feel like it. So I didn't really try too hard. And I should have, but.
Do you know when Brent found the idol at your camp?
He found it when he was sent back to our camp during the memory challenge where we flipped the tiles. He found it then. And it pretty much stated like there was a rainbow arch of a tree and it was at the bottom of one of the arches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's no point. Thankfully, there's really no point looking because you wouldn't have found anything.
Right, I wouldn't have found anything, and I kind of had a gut feeling when he was sent back that there would be a clue and he'd find it. So, I mean, at that point, what can you do?
So the red tribe was going to that first tribal council next morning. Did you care who went home from that tribe?
I did not want Clark to go home.
Okay,
I wanted to work with him, and I think he went home, didn't he?
So Sebastian's the first one voted out.
Oh, Sebastian is the first one voted out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I did not expect that at all. I don't think any of us did. When he got voted out, we realized, okay, this is how we're playing the game. We're actually playing the game really hard. We don't want him to get to the final three again. We're playing the game. And so that really put in perspective how we were playing the game. But
your next challenge is a blindfold challenge where there's different stations with different activities. Where were you in this challenge?
I was blindfolded with Megan, and Megan was telling me how to put the numbers. Megan and I, immediately after that, I realized that I'm going to work with this girl until I no longer am working with this girl in this game. Like I just knew we had the absolute best communication. She felt like she wasn't shouting out the best words to me. but we flew through it and we really got it done. But I knew what and was. She would say and was like number 3 and was the last one. So I would and then I'd put it lined up and then count them and make sure they were in a line and they were there. So we did really good. We did really good on that.
Yeah, and so Clark is the next player voted out from the Red Tribe, which
Yes.
you mentioned is the one person you didn't want to see go home there.
Yeah, he got out early his first season. Actually, funny story. The first season, I met Clark. Practically, we were naked essentially in the shower room. I get voted out, and then he gets voted out that first season, and we're like, "Hi, I'm Adam. I'm Clark." And we shake hands and whatever. We take a shower, then we leave. And then and so I didn't want him to leave early this season. I just didn't. He's really smart. He really likes the game. I think he's a great guy, and I thought we could have really voted together for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So your next immediate challenge is the gross food challenge. Did you compete in this?
I did not compete in that. I was like, I'm going to puke and we're going to lose. I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. So my grandmother's from Mindanao, Philippines, and she used to make some weird stuff. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
She would
do you like balut?
Eat it up. Yeah, like that. Stuff like that. She'd be like, eat it up. It's New Year's or whatever. And I just was like, I'm not going to do it. And they're going to have weird, nasty stuff. And it ended up not being real bad.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm glad I didn't do it. Yeah. I was not going to take one for the team. I was not going to do it.
So your tribe wins this one as well. The blue tribe, the Quoney tribe, loses, and Nate is the player sent home from the tribe. Which
another shocker. I was like, what the heck? So then we get back, and I'm thinking, okay, again, this is how we're playing the game. But I'm thinking, who is working together over there? That is very interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't figure it out.
Is there anything else that happens at the yellow tribe this day before we get the tribe swap?
No, I know we were talking before our tribe swap. We were talking about, oh my God, I hope we don't swap it. I feel like it's coming soon.
Mm-hmm.
I hope we all stick together. We're stronger in numbers, and we have to continue being stronger in numbers. So when we swap, stick together. That's kind of what we had.
How concerned were you with other tribes targeting you because your tribe hadn't lost anything?
So being at blue, I did feel a little bit more comfortable because I told them I'm at the bottom and there's other people running things. I felt more comfortable, or made them believe other people were running things and I was at the bottom. So I felt like if me and another yellow were at a tribe swap and we were outnumbered, another person from yellow would be more likely to go home than myself. And I felt like more people were more inclined to work with me from yellow than most places outside of Skylar. And so I wasn't too concerned. I felt good that day, essentially.
So you get to the next challenge, and this is when the tribe swap happens. And so you go from the yellow tribe to the red tribe, the Chila tribe.
Yeah.
And it's a tribe of 9 people. So you've gone from 7 to 9, and you actually do retain a lot of your original tribe members with you.
We do. And we continue winning things. So it's not like we started losing anything. We continued winning. I mean, I was on a tribe that won every single thing always. And so
it's a departure from your past season.
Yes, completely different. So I get to know Taylor here. That's where I get to know Taylor. And I realized that she's very smart. She's a very good player. And I'm like, how can I get an end with her? But I felt like we were listening to each other really well and communicating to each other really well. And I felt like when it came down to it, she would try to do what she could for me in the game. But I didn't fully know where we stood. But this is where I get to meet Taylor. We talked a lot. I mean, I got to know a lot about her. She got to know a lot about me too.
Talking about Lydia, you're meeting her for the first time.
Lydia, oh my God. How could I not talk about Lydia? So practically, this is how we meet. She puts on her frog outfit, got a frog hoodie on. She looks over at me and she's like, I'm a frog. And I immediately just was like, I love this person. Oh my God. And she didn't feel well. And she kept saying, I throwed up. And I thought that was funny. So we hit it off right out of the gate. And we cuddled that night too, because it was like, I felt like it was negative 20 degrees. I felt like I was in Titanic water. I mean, it was so cold that night. And so, yeah, we were cuddle buddies that one night. And I wish that she stayed longer in the game, and I wish I didn't vote her out. But
so Josh is on your tribe now, and you mentioned Josh was you mentioned after meeting him in the little swap shenanigans, like, this is the person I want to work with.
Yeah. So we're kind of looking at each other like, And I think a bonding moment for Josh, myself, and Lydia was I had my sweatpants on and I was laying beside this rock. And out of nowhere, I feel like my right ass cheek has been pierced. Like something has pierced it. I've been stabbed. I've been shot. Something has happened to me. I'm dying. Like, and I reach in my sweatpants and I pull out a pincher beetle, like this big, a big ass pincher beetle, and it had pinched my butt, latched onto my butt. I had to pull it off my butt. I'm hurt, and I pull it out, and I'm like, oh my god, look at this. And Josh and Lydia were like, yeah, we saw it fall out of the rock we were sitting on, and we saw it crawl over to you. We thought you hurt us. It's so, Lydia just commented, ass beetle. She knows. And so we really bonded that night because we were laughing over the beetle in my butt. And then she had a different story about a spider. So there was something about bugs in our pants. It's,
And so you also have the duo, Kyle and Amber, with you.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Reynolds is super cool. I really wanted to work. I wanted to work with both of them, but I wasn't really sure how to do it because I was loyal to Yellow. But I knew that there would come a day when I had to make a decision. But at this point, I'm like, okay, I like Reynolds, I like Amber, but both of them together was intimidating to me. They both kind of thought the same. I felt like they could look at each other and be like, sup. And she'd be like, sup. And they knew what they were doing that day. And that was very intimidating to me. And so I was nervous. I was nervous about them. And I know that they were very close to Taylor.
So did you know that from just seeing them interact, or was it
just interact? Yeah, just interactions. I just felt like they were that they were close. And I think Lydia was going with them too, but I wasn't sure.
So what was the dynamic of the tribe like?
It was just trying to figure out my new footing and figure out other avenues and things. If shit hit the fan, who would I work with next? So it was me being extra personable this time. I was extra personable here, getting to know new people and just being friendly to get to know these people. Cause I really think Lydia and I could have voted together on several things. And again, Josh and I knew we were going to work together. So yeah, it was just me being extra friendly. And we just kind of sat around and chatted more and then went to bed.
Was there anyone you wish was on this tribe with you?
Not really. And I think if anyone else that I wished was there, it would have taken away my focus of getting to know people more. So I liked who was there. I think that was fate.
Looking at the other tribe, who do you want to see go home?
Remind me who's on the other tribe again. It was everyone else.
So you have May, Corey, Frank, Skylar, Sharif, Tony, Carlos, Megan, and Austin.
Okay. I was wanting Austin or Carlos.
How come?
Out of everyone in the group, they seemed more, I don't know, more darker side to them than my lighter side, if that makes sense. I didn't feel like we could work together. I just didn't feel it. I didn't feel like we could work together and it would go well for us. And I felt like those two were really good at floating by and not being thought of. Like nobody would talk about them. Like nobody would bring their name. So I was like, okay, I don't know about that. So I was hopeful one of the two there.
So May is the first person voted out of that tribe, and was there any shock or people were suspecting that, you think?
Yeah, I think we were all shocked about it. But then it came down to, okay, people are targeting pre-production people, like people that work in production. We started thinking people are going after production people. And then it dwindled down the numbers there. I thought a Yellow was going to go home.
Yeah.
So, and they didn't. So I bet everybody is looking back thinking, dang, why didn't we get a Yeller? But they didn't.
So they do it the next. So you have your next immunity challenge. And this is when you're transporting boards, pool balls on boards with ropes. And then you have that octagon puzzle at the very end that is Josh versus Austin.
Yeah. And Josh is awesome, obviously. So we were really worried about that. And then a Yellow went home after the other tribe lost. Yeah, and it was Corey, wasn't it? Okay, yeah. So Corey goes home, and I'm thinking, well, there goes the boy that I wanted to stick around and make me giggle. But but what can you do? Did Skylar get votes and she play her shot in the dark?
The next tribal council is when that happens.
Okay, that poor girl couldn't catch a break. She could not catch a break.
I'm curious with the you have this contingent of Amber, Reynolds, and Taylor. What were you telling them? Were you trying to continue to sell them the story like, hey, I'm in the bottom, I might need to flip, or what were you doing with that?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing at this point. I'm like, I'm at the bottom of yellow. I'm open to things. Let's see how it goes if we go to tribal. Amber one day took me to the field and set me down, and we were going to have a full-on, really good conversation. And then our tribe handlers came in, and we had Mel, and then we had a game, and then we never continued that conversation again. And I often think back, what if Amber and I continued that conversation we were going to have in the hayfield? What if we continued it? What would have stemmed from it? So I wish we had longer time to talk, because I did want to work with Amber. I thought she was a very brilliant person. And I thought, I don't know, there was kind of like a cockiness about him, which I like, because, I just felt, like, okay, there's something going on. And I felt like they knew things I did not know. I felt like they had something I did not have, and I felt like they knew something I did not know. So I was definitely open to communicating more. Because you don't just walk around with your head held high if you don't have something on you or know something. You just don't. So I knew that something was up there. But I wish we continued our hayfield conversation. Maybe we would go on a ride in the future and talk. But but yeah, what was you saying?
Do you feel like it would have been different if it was only Amber or only Reynolds, not the two of them together in that tribe with you?
For sure. And I think it would have been better for both of their games if they were separated. I think it would have been so much better for their games if they were separated. But them being together really set up flags. And I wanted one of them out for a while too. But yeah, if they were separated, I bet they wish they were. It would have been better for them.
So the next challenge is a table maze challenge. Did you compete in this?
Yes, it was there. It was the big square. Is it where the ball came down the white
Yes.
tube? And then, okay. Yes, I competed in that, and I was at one of the corners with Todd, Josh. It was Todd, Josh, myself, and who was the other one? Brent, maybe? Hell, I don't remember. Anyways, Josh told us exactly what we needed to do, and we communicated so well, and we did it. We didn't drop a single ball, and we didn't make a single mistake in any of that. I mean, we did wonderful. So yeah, I was in that.
And so Frank ends up being the next person voted out from the Blue Tribe, which was, again, a person that you kind of mentioned you were maybe interested in working with.
Yes, I thought he was cool. He vibes. When I lived in California, I knew a million Franks. I mean, there's only one Frank. But I knew a lot of Franks, and we were friends. And I always felt comfortable and safe, and they made my experience in Los Angeles great. So I just vibed with him. I was like, okay, I'm just vibing with him. He's cool. He's true to himself, and he doesn't give a shit what people think about him. And I like those kinds of people. So I'm looking at him, and I'm like, okay, I think we can work with him. But we're walking there, and Amber and Lydia notices that his boots are on the porch, and I think a stick that he had made. And it was sad. They were very upset. They were distraught. They're like crying. They're mad. Amber's pissed. I mean, she's got smoke coming out of her ears. They're mad. They're upset. They're sitting on the mat. They're crying, and we're about to do a challenge. And their reaction to that cost us the loss in that challenge, because we were all so flustered. We were so flustered because we had to. First off, I was shocked Frank was gone. I was shocked he was gone. But anyways, that reaction made us all flustered, and we had to run out to different boxes and grab a certain color thing and then run it back to our camp. And we just kept messing it up, and we were telling each other the wrong things, and the other person would run to the wrong place, and that was horrible. That was horrible for us. Yeah, that wasn't a good challenge.
So you finally lose your first immunity challenge of the Good Travel Council. You've been immune for, let's see, how many rounds now? 1, 2, 3. You've been immune 6 rounds, and finally, the 7th Travel Council, you're going to the Travel Council.
How are you? Be lucky.
How are you feeling at this point?
I'm feeling like, oh crap, what are we going to do? How's this going to go? And then we get into camp, and I think everyone realized the easiest thing to do was Lydia, but that made me sad. But that's what I did. I went with majority, and that's what we did. So
why was Lydia the easy vote?
Looking back, she really wasn't the easy vote. The easy vote would have been Reynolds or Amber.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't the easy vote. I think a part of me still wanted to find a way to work with Amber and Reynolds, so I
Mm-hmm.
didn't even think about their name
Mm-hmm.
because I did want to find an avenue there. So that leaves, if it's not my people and it's not Amber and Reynolds, and we're not talking about Taylor or anything like that, then it's going to be her. So,
So your alliance kind of does a split vote, right, between Lydia and Amber.
uh-huh. Uh-huh.
How did that come about?
That's a
Because
good
Todd,
question.
Todd, Carly, and you vote for Lydia, and then Brent and Josh vote for Amber.
Brent knew that Amber was after him, so he
Mhm.
was like, well, "I'm just gonna get her out." And Josh that route. Why didn't I vote Amber? I don't know
Mhm.
what happened there. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what we were thinking. I think we all knew, and I did bring this up a bit to at several occasions. I think I spoke it into existence to people, but I just had this feeling that they were so cocky that they had something. They had an idol. They had something. So the thought of splitting votes was always probably going to be a thing
Mhm.
with Reynolds and Amber in the game because we just had this feeling. Like again, you don't walk around like the top dog rooster in the barnyard if you don't have something up your sleeve. So that's most likely why we split votes that day.
So, how did you know, or how did you learn that Brent was going to get votes that day?
I got the information from Reynolds.
Okay, he was telling you to
Yeah,
vote Brent.
he confided in me. It was kind of panic because we we're at camp and I'm kind of trying to figure out who's it going to be, and I'm begging people and I'm asking them to tell me, and Reynolds just pretty much like, well, I'm gonna do. He said, well, I think we're gonna do Brent. So it kind of went that way. And I heard Brent, and I went up to him and I said, listen, because I had just mentally thought that he got something when we went back to camp, and I was correct. And when I was on Blue Camp, May told me, she said, the people that went back to their camps got an idol. And so that kind of was in my head too. But I was like, hey, if you've got an idol, you need to play it. Your name's being brought up.
Mm-hmm.
He did it. He played it. And then who went home when he played it?
Lydia.
Lydia.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it was 4 votes Brent, 3 votes Lydia, 2 votes Amber. Brent plays his idol. He plays it correctly. Lydia goes home with the second highest amount of votes.
Yeah. That just goes to show how smart they were over there, the 4 that voted him. But yeah, I'm so glad he played that sucker. And when he pulled it out, I was like, my God, that's huge. I mean, the things were like this big. I mean, it looked like something Oprah Winfrey would have, or like a big old thing. And so I was like, how did he keep that a secret? How did he hide that?
That must be why a lot of people just left in their bags and they had to go walk behind the podium to go to their bag to get it and then bring it back.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah,
Smart.
Because I found an idol my season. I remember like, man, this is kind of large and unwieldy. I can't really put it in my pocket because it's so like how do I even hide this thing?
They're not the smallest things in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but yeah, he pulled that out, and then we got back to camp, and he said, sorry I didn't tell you about it. And I said, that's okay. You have to play the way you want to play, but I still want to work with you, and let's keep going.
Mm-hmm. Now, is there any regrets this tribal council and that for not targeting like Lydia? No, sorry, not targeting Reynolds or Amber or anyone else.
I have regrets now about it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure, it would have been an Amber. It would have been an Amber that's gone home. Without Amber, I would have worked with Reynolds better.
Mm-hmm.
Without Reynolds, I would have worked with Amber better.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how I feel like I would have been. So, but
So-
yeah, no, we should have got one of them away from the other. We should have. We didn't do it.
How was that night after tribal council?
Well, Brent was feeling like, oh crap, they just tried to get me out. What's going to happen from here? And I remember Amber asking him for like something that was beside him, and he'd be like, "Here, sweetheart," and she'd be like, "Thanks, sweetie." So they had like some kind of fake little sweetheart thing going on, because at the end of the day, you have to laugh about it. You just try to target each other. So, but yeah, that's how that went, and then we went to bed.
So the next day, you're at 14 people. When are you expecting the merge to be? Are you expecting it like soon, or like you're gonna like really run you through the ringer before the merge happens?
You could feel it in the air that a merge was going to happen soon. You could feel it in the air. I mean, you could just sense it. You were like, okay, okay, something's going to happen. I feel it in the air. And yeah, I think everybody felt the same.
And so you arrive at the challenge site and you see that you have to earn the merge. And half the players will be immune, half the players are going to one more tribal council, and it's going to be decided by whether you win one of these competitions. And there's a dexterity competition, a memory competition, and an endurance competition. What do you compete in?
This is hysterical. This whole process is hysterical for me. I mean, hysterical. So we pick. Hang on. We pick numbers out of a thing, and I picked the very last number. I'm number 14, which means I have the last section to pick.
You have no choice.
I have no choice. I'm so mad. And looking out there, the last thing I wanted was memory. Mm-hmm. Okay, it was just memory. This is how my brain's been during the game. I'm thinking of the game, but I'm also thinking of as soon as I get home from the game, I go on vacation, and then I propose to my girlfriend, and this is what's going. So my brain is just all over the place. And not only did I pick the number 14, I got picked at the memory place, the place I didn't want because my brain's just not working. Mm-hmm. And then we were the last to do our challenge. So we're sitting over on the side of something, just sitting there waiting to do our challenge. And I'm losing brain cells even more. I'm just sitting there losing brain cells. And I have like testing anxiety too. So this just was not my thing. So we go out there and we have this cube, and there's different things on it. And they asked what was the first one, and it was a skull. And I'm like, like I'm just rolling it, flipping it around, and I'm the first to go out.
So you end up at you returned. I can't remember which campsite you go to. The old blue campsite, maybe.
I think.
Or maybe the old red campsite. I don't know.
That's right. It was the old blue camp. Yeah.
And so you are there with, let's see, Megan, Carlos, Amber, Reynolds, Taylor, and Brent. How are you feeling?
Say those numbers. Say those names again. Taylor, Amber,
Reynolds. You have Megan and Brent.
Yeah.
And you have Amber, Reynolds, Carlos, Taylor.
Okay. Yeah. This is when I realized that crew was working together. You could just tell they were working together. So first off, we get told at the loser camp to look for an idol, that it's there. And we're running around the woods. And not long after we're running around in the woods, Amber and Reynolds are like standing where the old fire was, just hanging out. And I said, they found it. Shit. I just knew they found it. I just felt it in my gut. And so I'm walking around like I don't know anything, and I would go up to them periodically, and I'd be like, I'm at the bottom. I hope there's a place for me, because this was my strategy from the beginning, to always be at the bottom of yellow. If I appeared at the top of yellow, it would have probably been me that went home and not Brent. So by doing that, Brent's at the top, I'm at the bottom, Brent went home. I knew it wasn't going to be one of them. It was sucky numbers. And then we later found out that the people that were there lost on purpose so that they could be there.
Yep.
Which was so smart. I mean, I have to give them kudos for that. I was at the loser camp because I'm a legit loser. The rest, and Brent's at the loser camp because he lost, and they're there on purpose. It was so smart. And they did that to get out of yellow. It was genius.
Yeah. So it seems like there is a plan to split the votes between Amber and Reynolds with the five of you potentially, right? Mm-hmm. You, Megan, Brent, Carlos, and with Taylor.
Okay, yeah.
But it ends up being a 3-2-2 with Amber, Reynolds, and Taylor voting for Brent.
And Taylor, the person that I know to be very, very smart and very thoughtful on things and thinks through everything, said, I messed up. I wrote the wrong name down. Oops. And I'm like, oh, well, that's bull crap. So she accidentally voted the wrong person, and then Brent went home.
So you're meeting Carlos for the first time here. And
yeah.
Carlos is the person you were maybe a little threatened by when you saw him in other tribes.
Yeah. He's quiet. He looks down. He's soft-spoken. And I'm like, where is he at? Like, where's he at mentally and everything? Mm-hmm. And I wanted to talk to him more, but I felt like something was going on with Taylor, him, and Amber and Reynolds that I didn't know about. So I tried to not talk too much. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he was very threatening to me. He's a good player.
So you lose Brent, but you make it to the merge. What's the feeling like of making it a merge in this game?
I'm like, well, by God, I did it. And every day I just took it every day. Whatever the game brought, I just took it. I some people took the season very, very seriously and like just a lot. And for me, it was just kind of like, oh, let's have fun. At least I'm not in my office working today. And so I felt good. I actually felt good. And I felt like, okay, the game starts over again today. The game starts over again today. And I knew that as soon as I had merged, that I would have to make the official decision on if I continued with yellow or if I flipped on yellow. I knew from that day I had to make a decision because eventually, when it did, we had to make the decision and it was brought to everyone's attention who was voting who. So we get to that point and I'm like, okay, this is where I need to decide who I want to work with. And I really thought blue and red were going to gang up on yellow, and I thought Skylar was going to join them. And then if Skylar joined them and she told me she was joining them, I would have probably, thought about joining them really. But that's not what happened. Yellow kept going and going and going and going. It could have been final 3 yellow, people. It could have been final 3 yellow, and it wasn't. They should have made it final 3 yellow because that's funny. Everyone was already pissed at yellow, so it would have made them even more mad if it was they had to pick someone from yellow to win. I thought that would have been funny, but that's not what happened. But yeah, so I knew going into merge we had to make a decision. I had to make a decision on what I was going to do, and it was a beautiful camp. I literally felt like I was on the show. It was a set. The set design was there, so it was a good camp. It was good.
How was the merge feast?
We had Zaxby's, and there wasn't enough, and I wish there was. But honestly, if there was more, we probably would have puked. So we're having them, and all this stuff's going on, and I'm like trying to get Gatorade out of a bag. I'm not really paying much attention, and I'm more concerned about my plate at this point. And I overhear some whispers of like, "There's a note, there's a note, there's a note," and I see Megan like on her knee with like a thing of bread, I think it was, open, and she's like this, like I did when I proposed, like just like this, and she's got it at Sharif, I think, and I'm like, that's weird. Why does she have it like that, kind of turned away, open, like she's proposing? And I find out that there was a advantage in that, like a note that he saw, and then it caused chaos because Taylor calls him out, and then he calls him out, and then Reynolds is up in a tree and he's yelling out something about it, and it was so funny. It was so funny. It was chaotic, and I'm like, ooh, this is fun. So that's how it went, and then I ate, and then I sat down, and I let all the drama happen. And at this point, I was thinking, okay, now I can shut up. Maybe I can shut up, stop talking as much, and I can just shut up, and I can sit there. And I can let the big dogs go after each other and devour each other. And then each day, just take it one game at a time. You can't even take it each day at a time. It's each challenge at a time. I said, maybe I can take it each challenge at a time and let the big dogs devour each other. But didn't go that way.
Josh is saying he had no idea there had been even a clue found. He was just lost in the chicken tenders.
Oh, my God. I love it. Josh is awesome.
So you're meeting some new people in this merged tribe. So first of all, you're finally meeting Austin.
Yeah. And he's not as bad as I thought he was. He's not. I'm like, oh, yeah, I like him. We kind of had a funny chat about how when I was single, I used to be wild and crazy. And we would have funny jokes about it and just laugh about it. And I'm like, okay, I like it. He's not a bad guy.
You're finally reunited with Tony from the original season.
I had high hopes with Tony. For sure. He couldn't fully trust me, and that's okay. A lot of people weren't really sure because I was talking to everybody, but it would help. Talking to everybody helped. I was able to have Brent use his idol. If I didn't talk to everybody and was friendly, I wouldn't have known. He would have been gone. And then it would have changed that dynamic of the game. So being friendly and cordial worked to my advantage for sure. So yeah, I'm with Tony, and I have high plans and high hopes to work with him. But he and Sharif seemed really close. And I'll tell you what else happened at the merge too. Megan and Sharif immediately were like this. And then she would bring Todd over, and Todd and Sharif were together. And I was like, Megan, you're my new manager. Like, WTF, Megan? I'm like, where were you working for him now? Did you leave my company? What's going on? And Todd would kind of fill me in on some things, of course. But I wasn't sure about that, and that made me nervous. So I tried to get close to Sharif and Todd on like that same day. And I walk up to Sharif and I'm like, hey, I hear that you found this idol clue and people are yada yada yada. And I said, if I find it, I'll give it to you. And I really would have.
Mm-hmm.
Some may call that dumb, but I would have given it to him. I trust the dude. He's a New Yorker, nice guy. If I found the idol, I would have given it to him. At that time, he did not believe me, but I would have given it to him. And if Tony had found the clue and he was looking for it, if I found it, I would have given it to Tony as well. And I mean that's all with all sincerity. Sober and not sober, I would have given him the thing.
Had you realized that working with Megan meant that you were working with Sharif as well?
No, but I was so glad because, boy, it just worked out in our favor. Sharif finally valued me as a player and, well, not really value, may not be the best word, but he finally figured he could work with me. And then Megan, brought me in, and it ended up making me feel more comfortable because I realized they were not going to go after yellow.
Mm-hmm.
It worked out. If blue didn't seem like such a threat, if Amber and Reynolds didn't seem like such a threat at the time, they would have gone after yellow and we would have been picked off. But luckily they were our shields. They didn't realize it. They were our shield. So that worked in our favor.
I don't think there's anyone else new you're meeting at Merge. I think at this point, Sharif, Tony, and Austin were the only brand new people you're meeting at this point.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah. And so, like, you mentioned that, Todd's your security, Megan's your manager. Is Carly still your accountant?
Carly's still my accountant. Yep, she's still filling me in on who's with who and how the numbers are.
Yeah. And so kind of looking at this merge tribe, did you have a feeling of who you might want to target first or what the alliances were looking like?
I didn't want to be the first to say a name, of course, but Carlos, Amber, Reynolds was on my mind. They were on my mind. And they couldn't really give me anything. If they could have given me something, I would have been, I don't know. They said they were going to give me their loyalty at times. They'd be like, if we're working with somebody, we're going to work hard for them. We play idols for them. We're going to do what we can for them. And that always sounded like a really good dessert with cherry on top and everything. I was like, that is a good, and I'm allergic to cherries, so if I ate it, it would have been game over. But it always sounded enticing to me to try to do that because they were having more fun than I was having playing the game. They were like, and I was over there worried about when I was going to eat something. So it was very enticing to me. And when I say I wish they offered me something, I don't really know what that would have been. I couldn't really tell you. I'm very disappointed that I couldn't work with Reynolds and Amber more. I like Reynolds. He's a great guy. I think that we're closer than people realize, or used to be closer than people realize. And I had high hopes with him. I really did. But,
so in retrospect, do you kind of wish you had just made a flip, gone with yellow, gone the dark, not gone against yellow, gone the dark side with Amber Reynolds and just seen what happened?
I thought about it, and then I realized that I would have always been at the bottom with blue. I would have actually literally been at the bottom if I went with blue and a handful of other people. I would have always been at the bottom. Amber and Reynolds, I felt they would have kept Skylar around longer than me. They would have kept Carly around longer than me. They would have kept everyone else around longer than me. So why would I have done that? So I decided to just stick it out with yellow. I just thought that would have been so dumb to switch at that point in the game. Because I was always going to be at the bottom with them. And I don't think they would have valued me or listened to me enough.
Yeah. So one thing that's interesting about the alliance you're in is that Carlos and Sharif are working with each other. And so by proxy, you're kind of now working with Carlos.
I didn't think of that. That's so true. Yeah, that is true because I would share information with Carlos. I think everyone was sharing information with Carlos, which has worked in their favor. But yeah, I was sharing information with him. And I remember talking to Sharif at one point, and I was like, is Carlos good? And he's like, absolutely. So, I was initially, I guess everyone was working with Carlos.
Yeah. So you have your first individual mini challenge. This is when you're stacking those wooden blocks up in like kind of holding on to the tower that's getting larger and larger. How is this for you?
I'm the first out. I'm at this hill thing, and I'm like, okay, Adam, don't lock your knees. And then for some reason, I sway forward, and then the things fall. And I said, "Wow, I suck." It's like that was not for me. So yeah, I'm first out, and then I'm watching everybody else go.
So things kind of come to a head because instead of having your tribal council the next morning, you have tribal council pretty soon after because Taylor has something come up and needs to leave the game.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, you end up having the voter out in what should have been a very straightforward vote.
Yeah, and it wasn't. We get there, and I'm thinking they're putting the wool over our eyes, like something just that seemed very easy. But I also believe when you say you want to leave the game, then if they tried something sneaky where they tried to vote someone else out, that shouldn't have counted. But I mean, so I didn't feel too concerned about that because I felt like that's, we would have had some rules regarding that. But yeah, it wasn't straightforward. We had some mistrust that that's what was going to happen, that they had something up their sleeve and they were going to vote someone else out, even though they were telling us we were voting her out and it was an emergency. I felt bad for Taylor. I didn't necessarily think that's what was going to happen. I really thought she had to go and we were letting her go. So we voted her out. And I was just getting close to her too, but it changed the dynamic of the game there. Yeah, it wasn't very straightforward. And then Skylar got a vote in the middle of it. And for days and days, hours and hours and hours, she was so upset. She was like, who wrote my name? Everyone's always writing my name. She was upset. And that was very smart on their part because it really gave her distrust. And it really started making her brain work, like really work overtime to think who was it and how can I get them back?
Did you have any idea who had cast that vote for Skylar?
I thought it was Carlos.
Really?
Carlos or Amber. Yeah, I did. I really did. I was like, it's one of them.
Yeah. So I'm curious. I want to talk a little bit about Josh because Josh is a comment here. He's saying, I thought that you, Todd, and Carly would have really helped Josh kind of be in good standing with Megan and integrate into this larger alliance. What went wrong? Like, what point did you want to target Josh, or was it just like everyone else did, so you decided to go with it?
I didn't want to target Josh, and I just read Josh's comment, and that's a very good question. I wanted to get him closer with Megan and that core group because I knew he was with us, and he could have gone really far. I mean, and I just knew he was with us, but I was so concerned with getting involved with Sharif at this point because him and Megan were so close, and my focus strayed away from helping Josh get closer to our core, and it was more focused on getting to know Sharif more, Tony more, and making that work better for us. So the thing about Josh is we really started hitting it off. We just started hitting it off. We would chat. I think we chatted more often than I did with my core people that we went in with. And I had high hopes for Josh. I really did. I really had high hopes from him. He's so stinking smart, and that scared people. And I wish that they used the knowledge of trying to get people out that were closer instead of getting someone out that was smart. I wish Josh could have stayed around longer. I got told about the Josh event when we were walking to Tribal. Skylar came up to me, and I had heard his name floating around, but I heard other names floating around. And then as far as I was understood, it wasn't going to be him. So we're walking to try, and I can't remember who I thought it was going to be. That
Amber Reynolds, probably.
Yeah, Amber Reynolds, most likely, something like that. Carlos, maybe. Amber Reynolds, something like that. I don't know. Well, it wouldn't have been Carlos because Sharif was with him, so probably Amber Reynolds. So we're walking there, and Skylar comes up to me, and she's like, "Hey, we are doing Josh, and the majority's doing Josh. You need to write Josh." And I was like, "Are we sure?" And she was like, "Yes." And so we sit down, and we start having trouble, and I was like, dang, this is when I have to say goodbye to Josh. But let me brag about Josh for a minute, too. We made jury awesome. We had fun in jury. Josh and I had so much fun in jury together. We had so much fun in jury. I mean, we would bring a drink and we would clang it, and I had all kinds of different outfits, and it was a good time. So Josh is a great guy. I wish he made it further in the game with me because I had high hopes. So
Josh goes out, and you go straight to your next immediate challenge. This is the slingshot challenge. How was this challenge for you?
I thought, by God, this Southern boy is going to tear it up. I said, I'm going to just hit these things, and we're going to get it, by God. But that's not what happened. I got 2 of them, didn't get a third one, and I don't know why we sucked so bad. Sharif goes out there, and he's like, pow, 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 like he's been hitting, lights in his neighborhood since he was a kid. But I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. We kept getting closer, and I just couldn't do it. And then Austin wins the second one. So it's Austin and Sharif that won.
So what ends up being really chaotic about this is you don't go back to camp to strategize. You're kind of behind the barn for the strategy. And
Yes.
this is really kind of where you're kind of wondering like, do I stay with my yellow tribe, my yellow lions? Do I bounce to Amber and Reynolds? This is kind of where it's being put to test because you have this unanimous Josh vote, and this next vote's not going to be unanimous.
Yeah, everything changed that I thought was going to be different. I mean, it did. That is when the game screwed up for me and for everyone. I mean, that was like lines were drawn in the sand that day. If I had won, I wouldn't have had to leave that day. So sad. But anyways, I'm still salty about that. You opened up a wound because I literally was laying on the ground and everything with that slingshot. Anyway, I tried every position. I said every cuss word from A to Z. So, anyways, we have to immediately vote, and the whole plan that entire day, from the moment I woke, my left eye woke up, my right eye woke up. We were splitting votes. Amber Reynolds.
Mm-hmm.
And we get there, and Sharif and Megan go off, and some other people go off, and it is completely changed. Carly comes up to me, and she's like, what do? We need to make a decision. I either go with yellow or I go with blue in them. And it seemed to me that Carly and them were starting to go to blue. If I went with blue that round, I would have still stayed in the game. But I just did not want to do that because I did not want to be at the bottom of that. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I'm going over to I go over to yellow. They're talking to me. They're coming up to me. And somewhere along the line, Austin decided it is time to get rid of Adam Stair, which, whatever, Austin. So he decided it's Adam Stair time. And so we should have split it. And we didn't. And Megan and Sharif and them, they all realized that day they should have stick with our plan, because they realized that really screwed them up. It was literally split votes. When I left, it was the lines were drawn in the sand, and the rest of the game was chaotic for everyone.
So it feels like split votes would have been hard because your lines had 6, and the other side is 5 because Skylar, Carly, and Austin have all defected now to Amber Reynolds.
Yeah, that's true.
And so like, and what really kills you is it's not simply like the split. It's also it takes an idol to get you out of the game.
It does. It takes an idol to get me out, and it made me feel comfortable leaving that way. But of course, you never want to leave. But yeah, it took an idol to get me out of the game. Carlos told them to play it, and they played it, and then I was gone. Mm-hmm. But honestly, I don't think Carly and Skylar would have gone with them that quickly yet. I think they were still with us. My team was just so chaotic and silly that day. That they just decided now's the best time to go with Amber and Reynolds in that crew. So they, there was no chance of splitting it, no chance of anything because we went in there and changed it all. And it was so dumb. I was so pissed. I was like, what are we doing? Why are we changing it? Whose idea was this? I was so mad.
And like in retrospect, is there anything you think you could have done in that scramble to have made a difference?
Yeah, for sure. When Megan and them came over to talk to me, I should have just ignored them in front of Austin and Reynolds and Amber and all of them. I should have just ignored them and just sat down somewhere. That's what I should have done.
Like continue playing like, hey, I'm the bottom, like don't target me.
Right. I should have just done that. I should have just shut up, like not have them. When they came up to me to talk, I shouldn't have talked to them. I should have just sat down, even though I was just kicking the shit saying, what the hell are we doing? They thought I was doing more than that. I should have just sat down and just ignored them, sat near them, because Amber always talks about the way people are working together is if they sit beside each other or sleep beside each other. So that would have been my way to sit near them. They would have thought I was, more inclined to be with them, and it would have been a better thing for me. Megan probably would have gone home maybe if I was to guess. I'm not sure. But yeah, I should have just shut up and sat down. So. Yeah,
it feels like one of the weird things about this alliance you're working in is like it kind of gets usurped by Sharif in a sense, right? And something like your positioning's changed, because it was surprising when you say, hey, the Josh vote was told me last minute, which has got to be a frustrating feeling to have.
Yeah. I mean, and here's the thing: I knew his name was coming up. It could have been him, but I left camp with a different idea, and walking to tribal, I was told it was him. So it was floating around, but it wasn't in stone for me until we were walking. So, and I think that's because we were literally hanging out before tribal,
Mhm.
and everyone else was talking. And by the time we're walking to tribal, I get told because they didn't have time to tell me. And that's just what I'm assuming in my head because nobody meant to do it in ill will. Everyone was like, we didn't mean to not, we didn't know you didn't know. I mean, it wasn't like an ill will. It was probably because we were hanging out
Mhm.
before the votes. So, but yeah, I got stifled. It was rough. It was rough. It was rough. But and it all came down to Carlos's knowledge of what was going on when
Mhm.
and how he could tell people play your idol, do this with your idol, and they just were able to continue taking off.
Mhm. Let's pretend that you don't get voted out here. Let's pretend like your plan works. Reynolds does go home. I mean, who would you like to see go deep in the game with you?
Oh, that's such a good question. I would have liked to go deep with Carly. I really would have. Um, if Carly made it to Final Three, she would have won.
Mm-hmm.
She would have won. But anyways, I would have liked to work with Carly, Todd, that kind of stuff. That kind of would have been my people. Megan, I would have liked to work with her more. I knew people hated her more than me. They hated Todd more than me. So if it was Todd, in all honesty, if it was me, Todd, and Megan, I feel like I would have won because I would have been able to just rock and roll at the tribal council. I would have been able to tell everybody this is the business I've run. I'm the CEO. Sitting beside me today is my manager and my security guard. This is how I did the game, and I think it would have gone in my favor.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have to say, the way you went out, like it was the start of a wild set of 3 tribal councils.
It was crazy. No wonder I just had to drink at every single tribal because I knew it was funny. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to wear crazy outfits. And I did. And I would show up in a different outfit and a drink. And I got everybody that was voted out to clang our beer cans together. We had a good old time. But yeah, it literally, when I left, it was determined who was working with who as soon as I left the game. And they played their hearts out.
Did anything surprise you about how the game progressed?
Yes, the behavior towards each other was interesting. I mean, I know we're in a game and we can like get mad and yell and stuff, but I think it reached some different levels that I don't think is very fun for anybody to watch. I mean, it's as in the production standpoint, it makes great TV.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can't get mad at that. But yeah, it just seemed that people really just got very, very mad at each other, which is fine.
Well, I have to say, like, there's another Survivor game that ran this summer that was All Stars, and like the tensions, the jury was pretty upset at the end there, and so I've been really happy that the Reelfoot jury and the Reelfoot game, like, there definitely was some tension between players but it's nowhere near that. And I thought things were decently congenial.
Yeah, looking back at it, we're all okay. It's a game.
Mm-hmm.
We're all friends. It's totally okay. I love every single person I played with, every single one. If anybody needed anything, I'd help them with it. I mean, I love the people I played with. Nobody had any bad ill will towards me, but yeah, all the yelling at each other and stuff. I mean, I wasn't expecting that. I knew that they would play hard, but that's what I didn't fully expect. But
any other fun memories or moments in the jury with everyone else?
Oh, jury was so fun. We have Josh, we have Sharif. It's so fun. We just had a good time coming up with ideas about how we were going to enter jury together, and it was wonderful. I have some memories at camp, laying down, feeling completely senile and ill, and just laughing with Carly about faces we saw in the woods and just random stuff like that. And I even made a Facebook post tagging a lot of the players and talking about the memories I had with them. So yeah, I have just, outside of that, it was a fun, memorable game. It was memorable. It's something that, I'm going to be on my deathbed and be like, oh, I was in the woods in Reelfoot one day and just had a good old time and challenges. And yeah, it's something I'm going to look back on with positivity.
Was this experience more fulfilling or more fun than your previous Reelfoot experience?
Both. It was definitely more fulfilling and more fun. I felt like I had a voice and I felt like I had a presence this past season. Mm-hmm. Last time I didn't.
And I think that's my most frustrating experiences playing these games is when I walk out saying, "What did I do?" And like feeling like I am not even a footnote. It's like I came and I didn't feel like I played, and I'm out of the game.
I understand. Yeah, I definitely felt like I played this season. First season, I didn't. I definitely played. We had some plays.
So talk to me a bit about the final three and your jury vote. What was your driving philosophy? Or what were you looking for in a winner?
I was looking for someone that had a good game from the beginning to the end.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Whoever had a longer and better gameplay was going to get my vote.
Mm-hmm.
If Austin had a better gameplay from the beginning all the way to the end, he would have had my vote. I didn't just vote for Megan because she was in my alliance. I voted for her because she played well. I'm not a salty juror. I'm not anything like that. I voted for who I thought played the longest and better game, who was making more decisions,
Mm-hmm.
who had more alliances, who had a lot of things. And it came down to Megan for me. She was a better player out of the three, and she deserved to win. And not only that, I thought she had a beautiful story of making it longer, making it to that final three when last season she didn't. So I thought it was a good example of what the season was. Austin's gameplay was he floated by, which is totally fine. Floaters win a lot of things. He floated by and then made the decision to vote me out, and that was his biggest selling point. Was I decided to get Adam out, and I decided to get loose lips out, or whatever he called me. he said I got him out, and then I don't know. I feel like some people in the jury were very salty and pissed and bitter, and they went with Austin. But I thought Megan deserved it. I still do. I mean, I might personally send her $1,000 and tell her, "Here's your money." I thought she deserved. I thought she did a good job. So, but it's okay. We're humans, and we get to disagree, and we get to have different ideas and viewpoints.
Yeah. And it was still a closest vote with a 5-3 vote at the end.
Yeah, it was. It was closest, and I didn't. So Carly voted for her, and I didn't think she was going to. And so I was glad that she did, and then Sharif and myself. But she should have won. She really should have won. I mean, she just should have. And Austin's a great guy. Austin's a great guy. I hope he put the money in the stock market or is going to Greece with it. Who knows? But he's a great guy. Congratulations to Austin. He's a great person. Everybody's a great person. I have no ill will towards anybody. I just felt like Megan should have won.
How was the post game?
In the sense of what? Just in general?
After the winners revealed and kind of like, just everyone's around hanging out, or just kind of that the rest of the afternoon evening once the game ends.
It was wonderful. We all got to drink and calm down. It was wonderful. For me, I got really close to the tribe handler, Lauren, and we're best pals. And so it was good. It was calm. Love Parker to death. Love everybody to death. We got to hang out, sit down, and get to know each other on a different level. It was nice. It was nice. The tension was gone. The stress was gone. It was good.
So was Reelfoot a vacation you needed, or did the vacation after help you with the detox from Reelfoots?
Well, I definitely like going straight into a vacation after. I was in Aruba. I got to eat, got all my weight back, and all that good stuff. So I had essentially a 3-week vacation. So it was Reelfoot and then my vacation. And Reelfoot was good for me mentally. It made me feel mentally stronger. It made me feel more prepared. The industry that I work in is so chaotic and so stressful, and I have to work with people like I played in the game a lot of times. Like you don't just book people on movies with Dolly Parton and Jimmy Fallon and Miley Cyrus if you can't mentally be checked in all the time. And people are always against you, and there's some people that are for you. So it really helped me. It's helped me as a business owner. It's helped me as a person in general. So the game helped me. It was a good mental breather and a good mental strength for me to do the game. And then the vacation helped my body. So yeah, life has been good. Life has been good after the game.
Do you feel like you've had any takeaways that you've learned about yourself from the game, or just kind of a changing understanding of Survivor or this kind of interaction with people in general, like you said you had with your first time playing?
Yeah, no, I feel like I'm stronger than I realized I am, just physically and mentally. Like there was a few nights we woke up and it was like 12 degrees. It was what it felt like. It felt like it was 12 degrees. We're freezing, and I just have like a little thin poncho on me, and I'm cold, and my body endured it. And I said, okay, my body can handle it. And I've put my body through a lot over the years. I did I did a year of missionary work in Mexico, and I slept on the dirt there, and it was really hot, and there was no air conditioning. So I knew I could handle the heat probably better than the cold, but the cold took me for a loop. But I endured a lot. I endured a lot mentally and physically this season, and so I'm like, okay, your body can handle some things. That's pretty good. So, but yeah, I do. I just have a different perspective of life now from that season in a good way.
Is there anything else about your game or time in Reelfoot you want to talk about that maybe we haven't talked about yet?
Not right off, not that I can think of. I just felt like I could have been used more by people than they realized. And I think they know that now that we're out of the game. And, you know, I did have gameplay. I did have ideas. I did have thoughts. I wasn't just there. I was really playing the game. But outside of that, it was, that's pretty much it. Outside of that, it was just fun. It was just fun.
Do you mind if I throw some kind of rapid fire questions at you at the end here?
Sure, I'm ready. You want rapid fire answers?
You feel free to elaborate as much as you want.
Okay.
Who from your original season of Calipin's Revenge still hasn't finished business?
That's a good question. Brent.
Who from your current season still hasn't finished business?
Clark.
Do you yourself feel like you still haven't finished business? I didn't even ask you that.
I do, but I don't think I would ever play another game.
Reelfoot or any other game otherwise?
Just anything. I don't think I would. But I said that last time. So
I hear is come back to you in 4 to 5 years and we'll see what you say.
Yeah, come back to me. I mean, I live very comfortably. so it's different for me. No, I probably would do it again, but I do have unfinished business. I do. Yeah.
What was your favorite challenge that you competed in?
I really like, so when I'm watching Survivor at home and they're doing the task where they're doing one section and they go to another section, and then there's like the table that you hold and the balls rolling and it's a maze.
Yeah.
I thought I could never be able to do that. And by God, I did it. And I did it with ease. We made it look easy. And I was very proud of myself for that. That was a very fun challenge too. I mean, the girls had to get the ball up the chicken wire, and then we had to hold these tubes. And Josh tells us exactly how to do it. I mean, he had like a whole physics paper written out, and we had it and we did it. And that was very fun for me. That was a very fun challenge.
What was your favorite camp life moment?
Camp life moment.
And why?
Probably it was the beetle. It was the beetle biting my ass. You know,
I loved hearing it from like 3 different perspectives. And Lydia and like from Lydia and Josh was like, yeah, we just watched it. And we kept watching it. It started coming up. We're just like, we're just going to see where this goes.
And they did. It went in my ass. So, yeah.
Who do you wish you had a chance to work with in the game but didn't?
Clark. I wish I got to work with Clark. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Who surprised you the most out there?
Amber and Reynolds. They're good. I mean, I knew they were smart. They're smart people, but damn, they're good players. They surprised me the most. They would come, and Carlos too. They would come up with stuff, the whole thing with the hat and everything. Oh my God, that's genius. I hope CBS gets them on something. I really do. That was good.
What was your lowest moment in the game?
When we had to change our votes. When everyone changed the plan and I ultimately got voted out. I knew when the plan was changed that it was just too chaotic, and that was my lowest moment. Yeah.
We have a comment from here where Taylor says, you're the one person I wish I could have actually played with.
I just had to, yep, absolutely. I love Taylor. She's so smart. I want her to be my lawyer. could use an entertainment lawyer. Yeah, she's great. And we definitely could have gone far if you took out the equation of Amber and Reynolds. Taylor and I could have done a lot.
What was your highest moment in the game?
Highest moment in the game was winning everything. I think
right?
Yeah, there's nothing in particular. We won everything, and I think feeling really comfortable when we merged was a high moment too.
I played a game this summer where I lost 6 challenges in a row. I'm just like I was like never again. I don't want that to ever happen to me again.
Oh my God. At that point, you're just like, can I cut off a limb and you that out
Like,
instead?
give me my pound of flesh, please.
Yeah, can I give you hair? Like, what do you want? Yeah, that's hard. That's hard. Did it rain on you too during all that losing stuff?
um, after I left the game, it poured rain, so I was like, ah.
Oh yeah, karma.
So I wasn't as heartbroken. Like kind of like I was like, well, I guess I'll have to sleep inside tonight. What a tragedy.
Absolutely, dang! And I get to eat what I want.
Yeah, exactly. Shot in the dark. Love it or hate it?
I think there was a lot going on. We had shots in the dark. We had 2 people winning each immunity. We had all these immunity idols everywhere. And I was like, oh, this is stressful. I'm already losing hair and this is making it worse. So, yeah, that was stressful. But the shot in the dark, I think it was good. I think it was a good addition. I mean, it worked well for Skylar. I mean, that's awesome.
Skylar and Josh.
Yeah, Skylar and Josh. I mean, kudos to them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because you just don't. The odds are not in your favor. It's like they say in Hunger Games, may the odds be in your favor. They weren't for a lot of people. So, yeah, I think it was a fun addition. It made travel like kept you on your toes.
I think that's all the questions I have. Anyone you want to shout out or anything you want to mention as we wrap up here?
Oh my God, shout out to all of the players. I hope they watched it. Shout out to everybody. No ill will. I love everyone, even Austin.
Well, Adam, I just want to say thank you so much for scheduling with me. I really am excited I had a chance to speak with you and just hear your story.
Oh my gosh, it was so fun, and I hope you still have some birthday activities to do.
I will be going to Denver for a conference next weekend. I will be celebrating with friends there, so I'm very excited.
Well, yes, that'll be fun. But yeah, thank you for having me. I hope we stay in contact, and I hope to my cast, none of us remains a stranger. Mi casa es su casa. If anybody needs a place to stay in East Tennessee, then by God, come on up.
Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. This is one of many Surviving Reelfoot deep dives. I will be coming back next week with Taylor for her interview, and there's a couple more people I'm trying to track down and schedule. So,
last thing. Oh, sorry. Last thing I have to say, I said this when I got voted out. Raise hell and praise Dell. That's where I'll end it.
And that's where I'll end it too. Thank you everyone for tuning in.
Thank you.